So my brief was on Greca Integrated versus Lowry. Gary Lowry was a former employee that worked at Greca as a safety manager, and he had a non-disclosure agreement with the company. And when he was working there, he had discovered many violations, safety violations for the other employees, environmental violations while he was employed at this company, which Greca refused to correct the conditions. Larry experienced a very stressful environment, so he quit. And when he quit, he took with him damaging evidence against Greca, documents, emails, and former employees that sued Greca, were suing Greca. Larry turned these documents in, making them a third party disclosure, of which Greca contended it was a breach of the non-disclosure that Gary had when he was working there. So Greca tried to sue Larry for a non-disclosure agreement that he violated. The case was heard in October of 2004. It was filed, Lowry served his anti-SLAPP motion on the 22nd of 2004, and the case wasn't heard until October 26th, which there's a limit of 30 days. This is what this motion is. The California anti-SLAPP motion, it's a statute, and it allows the defendants to seek the dismissal of a complaint at the beginning of a lawsuit. The defendant was Lowry. He was being sued by Greca for that non-disclosure violation. So he filed that on the 22nd of September, and this is supposed to halt all of the discovery process. It wasn't heard until the 26th of October, which was 30 days later. After that, the issue was the trial court, the lack of jurisdiction, because that anti-SLAPP motion was heard after the 30-day period. It became an issue if that was valid, and the ruling was that the counsel agreed to the date of the hearing. So Greca's attorney agreed verbally to the hearing, and he knew that the date had been more than 30 days, so he merely consented and waived the right to object to any of the motions that had been expired. So it was expired by 2 days, from September 22nd and October 26th. So 4 days, it was 4 days. So the attorneys for Greca, even though they had given waived their right to object to the motion that Gary's attorneys had filed this motion, they did not object to it, and instead later on decided to tell the judge argue in court that the anti-SLAPP law was not valid because it was heard 30 days later. The judge ruled in favor of Lowry because the side that was suing, the plaintiff side attorneys, they had waived their right to objection to this motion, and they can't go back and say, well, we object now after the fact. So the judge ruled in favor of Lowry and on the anti-SLAPP motion, and also ruled that he had a right to recover any reasonable cost with this case, and it was dismissed. So this is what this case was mostly about, is the jurisdiction that a 30-day anti-SLAPP law statute has in a court, and the ability that the other side can waive their right and object to the motion or not, and they can't go back and reverse course and say, now we object after the fact. So this is what this case was about.